on this, which was probably the best episode of WandaVision that we got yet. And that's saying something. We are left with theories going wild as we have the pre-season finale with only one more episode to go. Are you ready? Because I sure as hell am. Let's talk about it.
I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Who be on that real shit? I'm on that real shit. Who be on that real shit? I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Who be on that real shit? I'm on that real shit. Real talk.
What's good, everyone? It's your boy Token Drew, and today we are talking about the penultimate episode of WandaVision. Episode 8, entitled Previously on WandaVision. Which, before we even get started, have you noticed that each time Wanda says previously on WandaVision, going from episode 2 on to now, her voice and inflection goes from happy and cheery to kind of more serious and kind of down, you know?
Previously on WandaVision. 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 Previously on WandaVision.
Man, this series is such an amazing take on mental health and grief, and it's so crazy coming from the comic book division that are giving this to us. Kathryn Hahn as Agatha Harkness and Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch, is absolutely amazing. You know, especially Elizabeth. I know that nobody from that higher up camp will ever see this, but big ups and big props to Elizabeth Olsen because, yo, she is kicking ass on this show and she is like carrying this some every episode. Really proud of how this is turning out. At this late in the game, yo, there's spoilers. To give you a brief spoiler free, it's a great episode. Great episode. It goes through what leads Wanda to where she is, and the reveals are awesome. And there's also a post-credit scene, so keep an eye out for that. Anyway, so back to the real review / synopsis. So the episode starts out in 1693, which is right after the Salem witch trials. And we see Agatha being led to an area which I thought they were going to burn her at the stake, but in reality, she was just surrounded by fellow witches. And she is being accused and on trial because she is practicing dark arts and powers above her station. Which of course she denies, but you know, eventually she's just like, I'm just trying to learn. I can't control it, but I will right now. I'll learn. Her sisters attack her, and they're shooting this blue energy at her. And this blue energy is also what they have her hands bound behind her. But while they're attacking her, eventually from her comes her purple energy that starts going up the energy beams into the attacking witches. And it seems like she's absorbing their life force. I mean, we've seen enough fantasy to know when somebody's getting their life force absorbed. The head witch, which turns out to be Agatha's mother, tries to attack as well, and she ultimately loses. But the cool thing when she attacks is that she gets these blue energy crown around her forehead, and it has some Hellboy vibes, but I kind of feel like later on, when Wanda assumes her final form, she's going to have that same thing going. We also find out that the brooch that Agatha is wearing throughout the whole series is actually her mother's. And there's a running theory that the brooch actually stands for the maiden, the mother, and the croon, which is the crescent moon, the full moon, and the other crescent moon. And if that's the case, then the maiden would be Monica, the mother would be Wanda, and the croon would be, or crone would be Agnes. Agatha. When we cut into the episode, we see that Wanda is trying to read Agnes's mind. Her eyes turn red, and Agnes is like, and Agatha, I keep on calling her Agnes. Agatha is like, you know, that's not going to work. I have these runes set up. Don't you know that? Don't you know these fundamentals? How are you doing all this magic without knowing the fundamentals? And that brings me back to when Doctor Strange is explaining Wanda to the Avengers in the Avengers Disassembled storyline, saying that because she's able to access these crazy powers by by borrowing energy from these different entities, is driving her insane, because she wasn't able to learn this. She wasn't able to focus her abilities and gradually move up the spell. She just went straight able to warp reality. Agatha's going through describing the different types of magic that she detected, such as hypnosis and transmutation. But she's like, magic on this big of a scale is insane, and you're doing it on autopilot. And you can see that there's this hint of jealousy, but also wonder in Agatha. Agatha does not seem really like a villain to me. Agatha seems like she's going to eventually take the role of a mentor throughout the series. Well, eventually she's going to take that role of a mentor. She's just doing a tough love thing. But anyway, so what Agatha is trying to do is trying to figure out exactly what is the source of Wanda's power. So she plucks a strand of her hair, does some magic Latin incantation, throws on the wall, and we begin our journey through Wanda's past. Even though this kind of reveal goes against what they did last week, it was Agatha all along, because it made it seem like Agatha was pulling the strings, but it seems like Agatha is trying to snap Wanda back into reality. So we start off by going into Sokovia. We see a young Wanda and her family. We meet her parents, which debunks the theory that the people in those commercials was her parents. Which there wasn't a commercial this week. I highly doubt there's gonna be a commercial next week. So what I'm thinking is that it's probably they weren't all going over the Infinity Stones, unfortunately. But we see her father comes in with a case of DVDs with the TV shows. Well, I guess there would be VHS at this time, with the TV shows that she was going to grow up watching and loving. And it's family night, and she chooses to watch something from the Dick Van Dyke Show, season 2, episode 21. Which they called it It May Look Like a Walnut episode. But that was actually episode 20. The actual episode 21 was something about something cheeky. I can't remember right now. And before I go further, I just got to say that, this episode does get very sad. And it gets, poor Wanda, she's just going through so much grief. So much grief. So they're watching these episodes, and it's all cute. The camera's panning in on this little girl, Wanda. Meanwhile, Agatha and the adult Wanda are kind of watching from the background, with Agatha providing commentary here and there. But eventually, a big explosion happens. A nice little jump scare. I like that. And we see that the parents have been completely covered in rubble, so they're gone. This was alluded to in Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. We see the missile that sat and beeped for 2 days, where Wanda and Pietro did not know if that was going to kill them. And that beeping noise is the same beeping noise that we heard in that very first commercial with the toaster. Now, at this point, Wanda, she's reaching her hand out to the missile, and it's revealed that Agnes reveals that Wanda was using a probability hex to make sure that state-of-the-art missile did not explode. Now, probability hexes are what Wanda initially used in the comic books. So this is showing that she actually had powers in the MCU before the Mind Stone experimentations, which we get to next. So we fast forward a handful of years to the Age of Ultron time frame. And in this, we see that it's where Wanda is volunteering to be experimented on, even though none of the other test subjects have survived encounters with Loki's scepter. So when she walks up, this part is so damn cool. The scepter, the blue casing actually pops off and flies over to her. You see her looking at the blue casing that was in the Mind Stone, and then it bursts open and there's a yellow Mind Stone bathing her in the energy. Which means I was wrong and we were wrong that she was not recreating the Infinity Stones in these scenes, but it was the scene where she was actually seeing them. So eventually, what she sees in that yellow bathing of light is a woman who looks strangely like her comic book counterpart, with the top parts of the crown, which we did see in the episode Halloween Spooktacular, where she dressed up as the Sokovian fortune teller. So I think it was really cool, really, really cool. And so Agnes surmises that it was the stone that amplified her power. Next, we go to the Avengers Compound, and this scene is very touching because it's the first place that Wanda and Vision live together. We're still in the Avengers Age of Ultron story at this point, where if the last point took place before it, this one's taking place pretty much during it. And Vision and Wanda are having a conversation, and Wanda at first comes off very cold because Pietro just died, and she didn't know really just how to handle that grief. Vision says a great line, and it's so deep. And you can actually see like the sparks of love between them as they're bonding over Malcolm in the Middle. And the interesting thing is all of these different flashbacks that we go through, all these different areas that we travel, Wanda is watching something different on the TV that correlates to a different episode that we've seen. So sitcoms have always been in her life. From the Dick Van Dyke Show when she was a kid, to the Mind Stone experimentations with Hydra, she was watching the Brady Bunch, to watching Malcolm in the Middle at the Avengers Compound. Finally, we get to see when she so-called stormed Sword headquarters to retrieve Vision's body, like Hayward told us back in episode maybe 4. But this is very interesting because, first off, now I'm starting to feel like Hayward lets on more than he knows more than he lets on. Granted, he had 5 years to study up on, so let's not think too deep, because I still kind of feel like he's just a guy. He's just a guy who is trying to protect the planet since Thanos won. You know what I'm saying? But he and Wanda have a conversation because she wants to retrieve Vision's body so she can bury him, feeling like, she deserves that. He deserves it. Now, she goes to Hayward, and Hayward's like, I'll show you Vision. So Hayward takes her to where they have Vision, and they are dismantling Vision because they're trying to learn and recreate this highly advanced technology. Wanda, she flies down to where they're taking him apart and tries to use her magic to see if she can feel Vision, and she can't. So she ends up leaving, which means Hayward lied, saying that Wanda stormed in and took Vision's body and left. Now this poses some questions though, because why the hell would Hayward lie? Because he's director of S.W.O.R.D, and S.W.O.R.D is similar to S.H.I.E.L.D, which means his role is similar to Nick Fury. So why would he lie to Jimmy, Monica, and Darcy? Why? If they're rebuilding Vision themselves, and he knows what they're doing, they have the body done at this point. It's all about getting it started. Why would he lie saying that Wanda took it? Remember, when Monica went to Westview, it was because it was to assist in a missing persons case with the FBI, Jimmy Woo. I understand lying to Jimmy Woo because he's not part of S.W.O.R.D, but Monica, S.W.O.R.D only went there when she got sucked in, which means S.W.O.R.D had no idea what Wanda was doing and probably would have never known, which means they would have never known of a fake Vision. So why did Hayward lie to his colleagues, to his underlings? Why was Hayward tracking Vision inside the Hex when he had a vision of his own? And why does it seem like more and more Hayward knows more than he lets on? It also seemed like Hayward was planting the idea in Wanda's mind on whether or not she could resurrect him, because he says something along the lines of, not anybody has the power to bring her soulmate back online. And then he corrects himself saying, back to life. Almost like giving her the idea like, hey, go down there and try and bring him back. Let's see if you can do it. I might be reading too much into it, but it just seems like he knows too much, but at the same time, he could have studied. Wanda leaves without Vision's body, and she has a piece of paper inside of her car. She takes this car, which is a scarlet color, fun Easter egg, and she drives out to New Jersey and goes to Westview, the actual Westview. And this town just looks run down. However, when she's driving through, we can see some of the people that actually are in the Wanda world, such as Norm hanging up posters for piano lessons. We see the delivery guy, Dan, he's actually delivering pizzas. And we see Mrs. Hart sitting at a table looking all sad. So Wanda goes to this lot, and the lot is empty. And when she opens up the paper, it's a deed that says, for us to grow it. And it's signed with a V. Now, that's sweet and all. But if Vision bought this plot of land for them to build a house, how did he choose somewhere that was going to conveniently have a house next door that Agnes moved into that has this bewitched ass dungeon in the basement. You know, unless Agnes was able to do that herself, which why not? I mean, she's a powerful ass witch. They can do anything. They can bend reality. But yeah, it seems like it's too much of a convenience. But just for the episode's sake, Vision left her this plot, and she broke down and was crying so hard, and all of a sudden, red energy comes from her, similar to at the end of Age of Ultron when she feels that Pietro's dead. And the house starts to materialize all around her. Then she stands up and lets out another, powerful roar or yell. And you see that wave of red, the hex, spreads out, changing everything. And that's how she starts out. And that sequence ends with her doing this number and the red energy coming out of her forming into a yellow energy that's making the Vision in that hex. So that's how we see how episode 1 started. And then we go back to Agnes, then we go back to Agatha, and then we hear Billy and Tommy saying mom on the outside, and Wanda runs outside to see Agnes floating in the air in her witch's garb with some strings. Billy and Tommy held captive at the end of the strings. Then this part's super dope because so Wanda, she's ready to fight, and she's like, you let my kids go. And Agatha, she's like, you have no idea how dangerous you truly are. You are a myth, a being that can spontaneously create. And then she goes on to say, these children, Vision, this whole world, that's chaos magic. And then this next part, it actually sent chills up my spine. I can feel them again right now. Agatha says to Wanda,
that makes you the Scarlet Witch.
and the episode ends. And then, oh man, that's such a cool way to end with her finally getting that code name, because we all knew who she was, but in the movies they never once referred to her as Scarlet Witch. And in an earlier episode, I think it's like episode 5 or 6, Hayward's kind of, or maybe it's even episode 4, where Hayward's kind of nudging Jimmy like, hey, does she not have a code name? Like, so, another call out, maybe, whatever. So the episode ends with the end credits scene where we cut to Hayward and he's saying, we got everything going. Who would have thought that all we needed to power this thing up was a bit of the energy, but we got that bit of the energy on this drone. And we cuts to the drone that has the red crackling energy still. And the camera pans over and you see it's Vision. They were able to reassemble this vibranium built ass Vision and bring him back to life. And he's in all white this time. And it's like his eyes are blue and he has a blue triangle on his head. Now he's controlled by Sword. And this is similar to the comics when the government brought Vision back and they brought him back without his memory. So he was just a cold robot for a while until he fought his alternate double and they fought and merged and he became himself again, which is probably going to happen here. So that's the episode. Overall, I give it an A+. I absolutely love this episode. I thought that the emotional parts were great. Going through Wanda's origin was amazing. And then the reveal at the end, her finally earning that name, the Scarlet Witch. I think it was so dope. I think it was cool that Wanda had powers before the Mind Stone experiments. And I feel like that they're going to bring in Doctor Strange at the end of the next episode because it's going to get too out of control. But I also think they're going to be bringing in this entity called Chthon or Chthon. I really don't know how to say it out loud, but he's pretty much a primordial, billions of year old elder god, super powerful, the strongest of them all, the one who is like the universe's devil. And Wanda in the comics is his vessel. That's how she's a Nexus being and how she's able to just do all this intense magic is because she's drawing directly from him. See, when characters like Doctor Strange and other magicians, magic users, they're drawing from these mystical entities. Even people like Juggernaut, he uses the gems of Citrax to give that immense strength. Citrax is an actual being. The Eye of Agamotto that Doctor Strange uses, Agamotto is an actual being. All that are actual eldritch beings. That's the kind of magic they're using. And Wanda is able to tap into what I believe is 100% of Chthon, which is how she's able to warp reality like this. At least that's in the comics. So Man, I'm so excited. Next week is the final episode, and then we have a break, and then we go into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I am not really excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm not going to lie, but we're going to watch it and most likely review it because why the hell not? I really hope they do a good job with it. So once again, this episode, A+. Really enjoyed it. Next, I'm probably going to do a review for Tom and Jerry. That was a fun movie I watched with the family, so that'll probably come up on Wednesday. Catch me tonight. I might be doing another live stream, just be playing these video games, talking I'm still trying to figure out the whole live streaming aspect, you know. It's still stuff to learn. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. And make sure you check out my rap album, Lusogo Collector's Edition, found on all streaming platforms. It really supports me and the channel if you just go and listen, stream, share it to your friends. Get the buzz out. But that's all I got to say. So until next time, I'm your boy, Token Drew. Live up. Smoke out. Game on. I'm out this bitch. Thanks for watching. Peace.
I'm on that real shit.